Tinder. Shiver me Tinders.
Eavesdroppin.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Geordie. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You look perky.
Don't even say that. I look perky as in like someone perked up. It's not good. I'm not looking my best, but I'm talking to you, so, you know, I've always got a smile on my face.
Welcome
Yes.
to Eavesdroppin, to all the eavesdroppers out there. I've got to say I love our eavesdroppers, don't you, Michelle?
I do. We've got the best eavesdroppers. They send us great messages and they're always like listening, giving us all sorts of nice little feedback and tidbits.
Titbits. We got a great message from Al, one of our unofficial researchers, who has been a bit quiet recently, but he told me that he's been catching up on all the episodes, laughing. Actually, he sent us some great pictures of him with some big things in Australia. We did talk on our YouTube about big things, and he's discovered the big lobster somewhere in South Australia. Fantastic. Thanks, Al. He also sent us a wonderful video of Judas Priest, who echoed your sentiments from last week's episode about privacy and being watched all the time by the big man, the man, whoever, in their song. What was it called? Oh, God, I've forgotten. I told you what it was earlier.
I know. Hang on. Let me just look this up because it is on Facebook. One moment, please, caller.
But what I loved about the video was that I watched the YouTube video. Thank you, Al. And it's Judas Priest who come on stage playing their instruments somewhere like, I don't know where it is, Wembley Stadium or something like that. And then the singer, because I thought, where's that singing voice coming from? And where's that chappie that always wears the leather? And then it comes out singing from down the middle of the stage, which is a classy move.
Can't get on my Facebook.
Never mind. It's called something like The Eye in the Sky. I can't remember. Sorry.
But it was a good one. And thank you so much, Al, for posting on the Facebook. We love it when people post on Facebook.
Yeah. I have been listening to some really good podcasts. There are other podcasts out there, people, that you can listen to, not just ours.
What have you been listening to?
One of them is, it's actually in conjunction with a TV program. You love it, I love it. It's the Shrine podcast. It started with Line of Duty, the three Irish guys who love to kind of give a companion podcast to all of the Line of Duty seasons. Wonderful. But now that Line of Duty's finished, they've got to keep themselves busy. So they've chosen Trigger Point, which stars Line of Duty's Kate, whose the actress is that lady.
Vicky McClure.
That's
who
She's
it is.
gorgeous.
How could I forget that?
She's gorgeous and such a great actress. And we watched the first episode together, didn't we, of this bomb disposal drama. It was pretty good. But what I have to say was I actually did a laugh out loud with earphones in on public transport yesterday, listening to Shrine of Duty. No, it's just Shrine. It's called Shrine now, about Trigger Point episode 3, where they're talking about, I think Hannah is talking about going to Vietnam and drinking a type of coffee that's made of civet poo. Just listen. It's so funny. It is such a funny conversation.
Oh, I think Hannah's actually my favourite. I love their voices.
Hannah, Rebecca and Brendan. They're fabulous.
I wish I was Irish?
Do you?
Scottish. Welsh.
They're Irish.
Are they Irish?
Yes.
I think they sound beautiful. I could listen to their accents all day.
Come here to me. I love that. Well, I've got family in Ireland, so I recognise all of those. Oh, it's gas. Means it's great.
Okay. Yeah, they've got all different lingo, don't they?
They do. If you ever have anyone ask you where the Jacks is when you're in a pub in Ireland or Dublin, it's the toilets.
Oh, it's the dunny.
Yeah, the Jacks.
The Jacks. Well, there
Yeah.
you go. There you go. I didn't know any of that. Well
no,
done.
you do. Have you been to Dublin, Michelle, Ireland?
Yes.
Yeah?
I have. Yes. And it was absolutely beautiful. And I'm getting that mixed up.
You went
with
to Wales or
Edinburgh.
Scotland. Yeah. Oh, my God.
But I have been to Dublin.
Oh, have you? You sure?
I have. No, but it was a long time ago. And I just had this moment where a bit of a brain freeze. But no, I went on a romantic that ended up being not romantic at all.
Is that where somebody had the
weekend.
shits or somebody threw up? That's what usually seems to happen for your romantic breakaways?
No, he just had the shits, as in he was just a
With
pain
you.
in the ass. It was, yeah, it wasn't a great weekend. It was actually a birthday weekend that went wrong.
Oh,
Hey ho! So that was in Edinburgh, but Dublin, I actually had to do a story there once, and it was amazing. So
brilliant.
there it is. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can't say I've been to Northern Ireland.
No.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. No, it's on my list. It's on my list. I'd love to go. Sorry, Irish eavesdroppers.
We'll go on tour to Ireland. Yeah. No one will have heard us, but that's okay. We'll talk. They like talking. We wouldn't get a word in, Michelle.
And they like drinking Guinness.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, the Guinness. Come on.
Yeah. I just wondered what the accent was. That's all.
Oh, sorry.
It's so funny that we're talking about accents today, Michelle, because I've got a story about accents for you a little bit later on. But I'd love to know what you want to talk about today.
Well, I'm talking about something today that everyone seems to be talking about. And look, if you listen to the first episode of the year, this is being season 3, you'll know that we looked at catfishing. And then, what do you know, zeitgeisty. A few weeks later, everyone online is talking about the Tinder Swindler on Netflix, which is basically about one of the biggest catfish con artists. And these 3 women who basically swiped right on the wrong dude. Have you seen it?
Oh, dear. No, I haven't.
Have you heard about it?
Yes, I have, because I turned on my Netflix the other day and up it came.
Yeah, there you go. It's getting so much traction and people are really freaked out by it. But of course, we've been looking into catfishing for years now. So, we're not surprised by con artists or people who catfish.
Of course not. We're so au fait with the fraudster and the swindlers, and we know all about that, don't we, Michelle?
We do. And for anyone who listened to the Anna Delvey podcast we did, this is sort of on the same level. But there's, while she was just swindling money out of people who were business associates, he's gone for more of the romantic angle. So it is a bit sadder. But look, spoiler alert.
Oh, here we go.
For anyone who wants to watch a show and doesn't want any spoilers, tune out for the next 5 minutes or so, because, the Tinder Swindler is something that I can imagine you're probably going to watch it curled up on the sofa when there's nothing else to watch. If you do want to watch it, maybe don't listen. You didn't really want to watch that, did you?
Spoiler alert!
I'm just going to give a little rundown because it's about this Israeli guy called Shimone Yehuda Hayut. I have no idea if that's actually how you pronounce.
I think you've done a good job there.
Do you think that sounds better than my Irish accent?
Absolutely. And I think all the Irish would agree.
So Shimone Yehuda Hayut, that's his name, but he actually does not use that name on Tinder because he goes by the name of Simon Leviev. And he says on his Tinder profile, he's the CEO of LLD Diamonds, which, by the way, I did a quick DuckDuckGo on that and immediately it pops up that a guy called Greg Sofiev is the CEO of LLD Diamonds, right?
So LLD Diamonds is real, but he's not the boss.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
If you're Googling or DuckDuckGoing and something like that doesn't add up, maybe your brain thinks, but this is a billionaire who wants to take me on a date. So maybe you just think it's wrong. I don't know.
Right.
Because the girls on this documentary, they swear that they Google everyone before they go on a date with them. But I don't know. And then on Tinder, Simon calls himself the Prince of Diamonds because he says not only is he the CEO of LLD Diamonds, he says he's also the son and heir to the King of Diamonds, who is his dad, billionaire Lev Leviev, who owns LLD Diamonds. So I was like, okay, these girls are Googling everything and everyone. Mm-hmm. I looked up Lev Leviev, and as you said, LLD Diamonds is real, and he's real too. He really is a billionaire. Mm-hmm. He is a billionaire. He really does own LLD Diamonds, and I think that probably stands for Lev Leviev. Diamonds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're hired.
Woo. But, again, I just did a quick DuckDuckGo on this, and it shows immediately the dude, Lev, he doesn't have a son called Simon.
Oh,
so,
God.
Again, for all the Googling the victims of this scam say they did before going on a date with this guy, I'm not convinced that they did, because this information is really easy to find. So, I don't know. And look, actually, in the days since the Tinder Swindler came out, LLD Diamonds have officially released a statement, and they've said, our company has no connection whatsoever with Shimone. He is a fraud who has tried to exploit our good name to con victims out of millions of dollars. Our sympathies go to his victims. His fraud has also caused ongoing confusion about our company. Nothing he has said about LLD or anything else should be believed. Mm-hmm. So LLD are making it really clear this scam has nothing to do with them.
They're distancing themselves.
Yeah. And look, basically the scam is this. So Simon slash oh my God. Simon slash Shimone.
My God.
And I know.
How
sorry.
are we going to get through this story?
I don't know. It's the braces.
Couldn't you have chose this story with other people's names rather than the and then
I know. But the thing is, his name is Shimon, and all I can think is Shimone.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm just going to call him Simon. Simon created this fake Tinder profile, and I think he was on other dating apps as well. Like I said, claiming he was the son of a billionaire. And look, I mean, his profile, because, they show it on the documentary.
Is he good looking?
No. Honestly, he's the kind of guy that you would swipe left on, because you'd be like, ugh.
What does it mean? Hang on. You have to go back a step, because you have to remember, I've been in a relationship for decades. I don't know about the swiping.
Okay. So Tinder, it's basically like the world's biggest hookup app. You swipe left to be like, no thanks.
So left is a no-go. Left is get in the bin.
Yeah, bin you off.
Right is, oh, okay, let's have a go.
And if you've swiped right and he's swiped right, then boom, it comes up and it says you're a match. It's a match. Okay. And then you have access to their, to be able to message them. Whereas before you can't message anyone. You have to have a match, which then immediately releases the opportunity to be able to message each other.
So you don't get, it's like being at a bar and you're able to not even be approached by the people that you're not interested in talking to. No. So it's like, wall. You're like swiping left going dream on and not saying yes to you. And then you're like, ooh. But I'm not victim blaming here, because I feel like these girls were really truly conned. But for me, dude is not good looking, but I'm sure he's some girls' types, because he seems to get a lot of girls. However... Well, because he tells them that he's a bloody billionaire. That's how. Exactly. He'll get a certain type of girl, let me just point out. Not all the girls will go for that ruse, even if he was a real billionaire. No, and right? Look, really, I mean, because, he has the exact kind of profile where that would have had me swiping left, because... he's dressed in like really flashy designer clothes, designer sunglasses. He's got pictures of him in private jets and fancy cars, and he's flying a helicopter. He's in nightclubs surrounded by models with big magnums of champagne. He's got his bodyguard. He's like him in front of landmarks all over the world, beaches, blah, 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 blah. And it's basically looks like a creep, and he's the kind of guy that I think most people would avoid at all costs, especially as he's like, oh, I'm a billionaire, I'm a CEO, and most people, I know rich people, I know really rich people, they're not putting that stuff on Tinder because they don't want to attract the kind of girl who is looking for money. And look, just cutting forward to the end of the documentary, the girls got a lot of hate
from people when, like, what happened to them went public. They did get a lot of hate from people going, gold diggers, you deserve everything you get.
Oh, wow.
If you're too stupid to, realize you'd been scammed, then you deserve everything you got coming to you, all that kind of stuff. So
it's not very nice.
No, it's not very nice. But equally, you do sort of see how these girls were swept up into the fantasy of the money. Dude on his profile looks like a bit of a dick, but like I said, I think loads of women didn't think he looked like a dick because obviously he was getting loads of matches for whatever reason. I don't know, but his MO was this: so he'd match with a woman online, and then he'd arrange to meet them super quick, like pretty much that day, for a coffee in whatever kind of expensive hotel he was staying in. And in the Tinder Swindler documentary, we know all this because his first victim, that is in the doco, Cecilia Fjellhøy, she's Norwegian. I can tell you that is exactly how you pronounce it because I asked my boyfriend who's Swedish and he's like, because I was like, Fjellhøy? He's like, no, it's an O with a slash through it. It's Hø. So Cecilia Fjellhøy. So she first, like when she matched with Simon, he said, come and meet me at 10 a.m. for a coffee date at the Four Seasons in London, which is, super fancy hotel. This was in January 2018. And according to her, he seemed exactly like his Tinder. Shiver me tinders. According to her, he seemed just like, his Tinder profile. So he was dressed head to toe in expensive clothes. He was staying in this fancy hotel. And she said he just had this really magnetic personality. And then he said he had to leave that afternoon to go on a business trip to Bulgaria. And he's like, you want to come? Join me on my private jet? So she's like, fuck yeah. Like, I would be crazy to say no to this. So she kind of like dropped everything and got on the plane, this private jet with him. And she said it was her and Simon and then his like security detail with like private bodyguards and stuff. And weirdly, there was a woman with a baby who claimed that she was Simon's ex and the mother of his child. And so Cecilia was just talking to her and this woman's there like vouching, oh, he's a great guy. He's really looking after me and the baby and blah, blah, blah. So, I guess for her, there was at no point did she feel like she was getting catfished because dude turns up. He's not just an online nobody. Dude turns up. He looks exactly like he does on his profile. So it's not fake pictures. And
he's got an entourage.
He's got the entourage. She's on a private jet with him. So there are no alarm bells ringing at this point. And, so she says, she has basically like most amazing night of her life. She, shagged him, stayed in like amazing hotels.
There's a woman breastfeeding a baby in the corner of the room while all this is going on still. Where's all his entourage? When did he ditch them?
Geordie, I mean, they went out to the club. They were drinking champagne. And then, he had a suite, and everyone had suites, He's the son of a billionaire.
Apparently.
Heir to a diamond magnate.
Oh, I've got a feeling that he's not, though, at some point. So I'm just trying to figure it out already.
Well, look, it's interesting because Cecilia says that she felt like every single moment of her time with him, it felt like a movie. And actually, it's something that all the girls in this documentary say. And this is actually more about like the documentary and less about what the girls are saying. But while I think, the content of this documentary is really interesting and a bit of a, warning to people to just be really like vigilant and do their due diligence online with people if you can, the documentary itself, it's got all this really weird cinematic music in it, which is really off-putting and it's just really distracting and it actually detracts from the whole thing. But anyway, that's just an aside. And I'd love to know if anyone else feels like the music in it is really shit and really off-putting because you kind of feel like, are they doing this because these girls say they feel like they're in a movie? So they want to create this movie atmosphere. But anyway.
Well, do write in.
Yes, do write in. So basically, Cecily was kind of reeled in and hooked from day one. And, you know, from then on, she was kind of emotionally manipulated into thinking that she was in this really loving relationship with this guy who wanted to spend his life with her, start a family with her. And, you know, look, one thing I will say about this documentary is that this guy was really, really good at making women feel good about themselves. Because, okay, you know, he would take them on private jets and nice hotels and fancy dinners and, you know, all around Europe and whatever. And aside from the odd bouquet of flowers, you know, he was not like lavishing them with like expensive jewelry or handbags or clothes or fur coats or, you know, oh, here's a car. Like, what he did was he just gave them loving words and just made them feel really loved. And he was really attentive and he was really good at remembering the details, you know. And basically that's all it took for these girls to feel like, I say girls, women, these women to feel like they had some really special connection with Guy. And that makes what happens next even sadder, really, because once they were in what they thought was a real relationship, that's when fucking shit went down and things turned. And the thing is that these three women, all of them had the same situation. They were, well, actually, two of them were in a relationship. The third one, she had actually just gone on a date with him, realized it's not romantic, but they maintained a friendship. And he still managed to emotionally manipulate her as, you're my best friend. I really need you. I have no one else. Because what he would say is, I'm a diamond, you know, I'm in the diamond industry. I have enemies. They're coming after me. And, you know, they've frozen my bank accounts. I really need money. I need money to get to the next, you know, to the next country so I can sort out. Please, you've got to help me. You know, I need you to like just get me through this tough space. You know, I'm good for it to pay you back.
So this is a financial scam.
Absolutely. And what he was doing was kind of a Ponzi scheme in a weird, bizarre way. So what he would do is he had like loads of girls on the go and he would reel them all in, and then he would like bomb them with that, what I just told you, oh, I need money now. He would encourage them to get credit cards and give him the details of the credit cards so he could use it. And what he would do is then he would take all of the credit card information from one girl and spend it to wine and dine and private jets and hotels the next one.
Okay.
So it was a pyramid scheme, but basically he was selling himself. And the girls, you know, he was at the top of the upline.
That's dark.
It's really dark, but equally really smart, because when it came down to it, these girls in their name had taken all the credit cards.
Oh, right. Oh, shucks. That's a lot of money.
So, you know, one, like Cecily, she's in the hole £250,000. You know,
hell.
and it turns out, and look, I'm not going to go into too much more detail about the rest of the documentary because, you know, basically it is the same story over and over. And I really do encourage anyone to watch it because it is a wild ride. But what I will say is ultimately the girls do track him down, because after he gets all the money and they realize, like, I've been scammed, because the police get involved and they get this information that he'd pulled these scams in Finland. And it was actually Cecily who then got a Norwegian newspaper on the case who tracked him down. And it's really scary what goes down. And then there's a Dutch girl who is onto him as well. And because when he turns nasty, he starts threatening them, their family. You don't know who you're dealing with. You know, you will pay for this. You will regret you ever met me, and your family's in danger. You're in danger. Like, really threatening, really horrible. So it turns very sour very quickly.
I know what this reminds me of now, Michelle. Sorry, it's just been that darkness of character has really been hitting me. And I now remember a podcast I listened to a few years ago Who the Hell is Hamish?
Oh my God, yes. I listened to that as well. Really awful. I'll put a link in the show notes to that because it's definitely worth listening to. But just, even though I guess I have given you spoilers on how this all ends up.
Sure, but still, I think I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, because basically everything is fake. The bodyguard is fake. The jet paid for by other women's money. The woman who said he was his ex.
Baby. Yeah.
One of the girls recognized her as being a previous victim, so somehow she's caught up in helping his scam.
Whoa.
So really, really dark. So I could tell you the ending and what the upshot of all this is, but I'm not going to because
that's nice,
I
Michelle.
think
It's worth a watch?
it is worth a watch. There it is, Geordie, the Tinder Swindler.
Wow.
People, if you if you watch the Tinder Swindler and want to talk about it, get in touch with us because I love a good chat about bad
television
documentaries.
Yes. Fantastic. Thanks for that, Michelle. You have won me over. I'm going to watch it.
Go for it.
I will.
Doris,
Clarice,
Maureen, Doreen,
Leslie,
Wesley, Tracy,
and Stacey, Daniel,
Spaniel, Bill,
Eavesdroppin. Michelle, brains can do weird things. We're not always in control of our brains. Did you know that? Do you think you're controlling your brain? Is your brain controlling you?
I don't know, but we have talked about, like the unreliability of memories, and that's all your brain, and if someone tells you one thing and then your brain can get mixed up and confused. So I don't think our brains are reliable.
Not really, no. So, for example, last week on our podcast, you said date raised. Do you remember that? Instead of date raped.
But then you called me out on it, and I was like, "What? What did I say? I don't know."
You were convinced you didn't say it. You didn't know you'd said it.
Oh, well, that's because I don't know anything. You have to remember, last week I'd had champagne.
You had a drink, yeah,
before I recorded, so I'm putting it down to that. But yes,
well, we'll put it down to that then.
Brains get old and sloshy. The older you get, so there you go.
Well, just generally, they can't always be relied upon. For example, in 2011, George Michael, remember him? Old George Michael. Oh, gone too soon. Gone too soon. R.I.P. Anyway, he was admitted to hospital in Vienna with pneumonia in 2011. Do you remember that?
No.
He was really unwell. He later described that period as the worst month of his life and claimed that doctors had spent 3 weeks keeping him alive. Well, when he woke up, there were fears that he'd suffered brain damage because he started speaking with a West Country burr. And those of you who aren't from England may not understand what a West Country burr is. It's from the Midlands, and it's like if you've ever listened to The Archers, which is the Radio 4 long-running soap opera, you've got Eddie Grundy doing Careless Whisper. I never want to dance again, Clary love. Guilty feet ain't got no reason. No reason. No reason.
Do you know what? I was about to say, please give us some West Country. You just went straight into it. Loving it. Oh, what's it? Get out. Get it. Oh, hang on. Where's my... I can't even think of
Where's my tractor?
Where's my tractor?
Is that it? Yeah.
No, there's another one. Get out of my farm. No, terrible.
Get out of my farm? Get off my land. It's get off my land. Oh, dear. Well, anyway, poor old George. He's not from the West Country, but that only lasted 2 days, and medics feared that he had a condition known as foreign accent syndrome. Why do you look so frightened?
That just doesn't even sound real. That sounds completely made up. I've got foreign accent syndrome.
It's a thing.
But you hear girls who put on a fake voice and then they pretend to be posh or whatever. I guess it's not the same thing.
Well, people could say that about us. We have very mixed up accents. And actually, you gave Amanda de Cadenet a really hard time when you met her.
I did give her a hard time. Sorry, Amanda. I hope you're an eavesdropper.
Backstage at Reading. at the strokes.
What's your accent? No,
you didn't. You said, are you South African? Like that. She was horrified.
Because I didn't even know who she was and she thinks she's famous. Oh, I'm so sorry, Amanda.
Stop.
So mean.
Anyway, so our friend and fellow eavesdropper and researcher, Tameera the Modern Mystic, has been watching Australian 60 Minutes, which is the tick, 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 tick. It's the, what do you call it? Like a no, is it a documentary style news program or something? What is it? A magazine style program about interesting stories.
Well, it's a hard hitting, but not
hard
really.
Hitting.
It used to be. It used to be back in the day with, what was his name?
George Negus.
Ray Martin.
And Ray Martin.
Yes. You know, they had a lot of hard hitting news, but no, it's more of a news show. But
okay,
whatever. I really described that badly. Sorry.
You did. Well, Tameera urged me to watch a segment that she recently watched that had her thinking all week long. On the programme, they met a lady on the mid-north coast of Australia, and she had a thick Eastern European accent. To me, it sounded Polish, but she was actually She was actually born and raised. She was birthed. She was born and raised in Australia, 4th generation, in fact, and she's never been to Europe, and her family are not European. So this was a weird accent for her to suddenly wake up having. Her name is Cindy Hastings, and she was a successful business owner until a year before she suffered these epileptic seizures. In Plymouth, in the UK, in England, Sarah Colwell was on the way to hospital in an ambulance, and the paramedics asked her, "Are you aware of how you sound?" She said, "I sound like I have a slur." And the paramedic said, "No, you sound like you could be working in a Chinese takeaway." And she said, "You look like you could be..." In the program, she says, "You look like you could be working in a local China house or something."
Oh, my God.
You've got her trying to do some kind of speech therapy with the professor later on. And he's saying things like cash. And she's going, "Casha. Cash machine. Casha machine." It's weird, right? Yeah. Then there's Kay Russell in Gloucestershire, but her newly acquired French accent, to me, sounded like it needed a bit more work, in my opinion, but we'll come back to that story. We're going back to Cindy Hastings, the Australian lady in, I think it's Port Macquarie, sounding like she's from Poland. She was prescribed a new anticonvulsion drug, and the side effects were her speech slowing down and her brain processing abilities were hindered. And she started to have difficulty finding her words.
That sounds like me on a normal day. Sorry.
Well, that could happen. This is the thing. It's frightening. This is about your brain not keeping up with the rest of you. Luckily for Cindy, there's a local radio interview on tape from years ago, so she can hear her old accent, and it's very Australian.
Right.
So hearing the tape really distresses Cindy because she remembers what it was like to talk at a normal speed and sound like she knew what she was talking about. She actually sounds like she's only just learned English recently now.
That's so frightening.
Her sentence formation and the words, plus the time she takes to think of the right words, she feels a complete disconnect between her brain and her mouth. So she sounds like she doesn't know all the words in English, and she's searching for them. So her choice of words is as limited, a newly acquired English speak. Yeah. So poor Cindy, she's in tears when she reveals she's been told that her foreign accent syndrome may never be reversed.
Oh, God, that's really awful.
It could be permanent. She's lost friendships and had to give up her business.
Fuck. I wonder what her business was.
I don't know. Foreign accent syndrome is rare, and there's only about 80 sufferers around the world at the moment, and the causes of it vary. The sufferers might feel sick and then wake up one day speaking totally different, a bit like George Michael. And it can be extremely isolating and very frustrating for the sufferers. So going back to the Chinese accented Sarah Colwell from Plymouth, she's been a sufferer for 2 years. She was an IT analyst before, and then she had a severe migraine, which was almost like a stroke, and that triggered the syndrome. It happened straight away, like when she was in the ambulance, when the paramedics came to get her after her stroke.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a stroke, it was a very, very severe
migraine.
Yeah. So then 60 Minutes, and I don't know who this man is. It's not George Negus. I think he's retired. He speaks to Dr. This chap, he speaks to Dr. Nick Miller, who's from Newcastle University in England, and he says that the sufferers aren't actually speaking in a foreign accent. It just sounds like that. And in actual fact, it's a speech disorder that hits the listener's ear like an accent would. So it's almost like we make it up in our heads where we think they're from. Although to me, apart from the French accent, they all sound very much like they could be spoken by a Chinese person or a Polish lady
who is trying to speak English and
English for
it's
the
not
first,
their first language.
Yeah.
Oh,
but it's a brain disorder. Unfortunately for Sarah and her Chinese accent, she had to relearn how to phrase simple questions such as, could you make me a cup of coffee, please? When she asked her husband, it became, you do coffee now.
Are you joking?
I'm not joking. She'd say, you do coffee now. Things like that. And he would get it. You know, he understood. But she had to relearn how to say, can you please make me a cup of coffee? And subsequently, she lost a load of friends.
Yeah,
they just thought she was being
really
rude.
really aggressive. But also, because you had said something like when she was in the ambulance and the paramedic said, can you hear what you sound like? Could she hear what she sounds like? Or can she hear what she sounds like? Or is in her brain,
sure.
in her brain, is she saying, hey, sweetheart, can you get me a cup of coffee? But what it comes out as is, you get me coffee. Like,
yeah, I'm not sure, actually. Yeah, It's hard to get to the bottom of that. For Kay Russell, this is the lady in Gloucestershire with the weird French accent. She says things like accent. So I'm not sure that a French accent you would say French accent. I don't know.
But anyway. You do that.
Do I?
No, in like when you're trying to put it on. A macaron and something else you said. But you know what? This makes me think. I mean, because I remember when I was in my 20s, I was living with this girl and she was very well brought up kind of girl. And she constantly she'd be like, oh, doll, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like put on this really full on Aussie
Australian accent.
And it got to the point where she couldn't speak in the way she normally would speak because she had put this accent on so much. Yeah, that was now how she spoke. And I was thinking about Matt Berry the other day, actually, and I was thinking, I wonder if he was so used to being Matt Berry that he... I wonder if that was always how he spoke or if that's now how he speaks because he's done it so much. I don't know.
And it's his money maker.
Because I wonder if that can also happen to people where they speak in a particular way for so long they can't pull it back. They can't go back.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But for Kay Russell, let's go back to the foreign accent because all I know is about the foreign accent syndrome because I haven't done any research in all your questions. But so she started off with a migraine. But the weird thing is, Michelle, and this was quite disturbing, she recorded herself at the start of the syndrome, and it's really quite rough to hear. She's got herself on tape going ka 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 di 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 ta 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 to 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 to. So this is what was happening to her. It was like the whole speech thing had been erased in her brain, so something went drastically, seriously wrong.
Yeah. Fuck.
And the same thing happened to the Australian lady as well. There was also some distressing kind of effects and also Sarah Colwell as well. I think in the beginning it's almost like they had to relearn how to speak.
Yeah.
With their new accents.
But can you imagine if it happened to you? And I mean,
I don't want to imagine that. I think it's quite distressing.
Oh my God. No, but I was just thinking, would your husband stick around with someone who is saying, get me coffee? Like, do you know what I mean? I think,
well, hopefully.
I think it's really tough. Yeah, but...
I mean, sickness and in health and all that.
Yeah, but you know, but you're the same person, but you're not, you know.
Well, their friends abandoned them. Their friends couldn't handle it and they took off.
Yeah, right. God, that is really tough. Really tough. And do you know what's really scary? Is that it's migraine triggered.
Oh, it's not just migraine. It's many other reasons. There was a drug in one case. The other one was, I can't remember, an illness or something. So Tameera was pondering this. She found it fascinating. But she wondered whether this phenomena was a past life seeping through or a walk-in. Have you ever heard of a walk-in, Michelle?
No, I have no clue what you're talking about.
A walk-in is a new age concept of a person whose original soul has departed his or her body and has been replaced with a new soul, either temporarily or permanently.
Oh. Do you know what? This reminds me, we had talked very briefly about when people get drunk, and there's a theory that when you get drunk and you black out,
the demon comes in.
The demon comes in. You are temporarily taken over. And that's why people have no memory, because it's like, it wasn't me. Literally, I was overrun by a spirit.
Somebody pooed in my pants.
It's
a very good excuse.
Natty J is not going to like you talking about that. Come on.
Anyway, it's also known as a soul shift or a soul swap, and it's more common in young people under 25. Apparently, now this is from asktheangels.com. Apparently, souls can agree to do a swapsy if, for example, the allocated soul doesn't fancy being in its latest incarnation, and this will usually happen at birth. So the parents won't even notice if suddenly their newborn baby has a quick swap. The soul that's been allocated to that baby gets taken out or decides to come out, gets swapped with another one who's willing to go in.
Right.
It's weird.
That is weird.
It can also happen after an illness. Eye colour can also change. Michelle, my eye colour changed.
Well, my eye colour is definitely different.
Have I had a soul swap?
Yes. No. Who are you?
I think I've had many soul swaps over the years.
But who were we talking about where they said their eye colour changed? Oh, the one with
me.
No, the guy who was Camilla's love child.
Oh,
do you
yes.
remember? He said they changed his eye colour.
Oh, they had it changed. Yes,
yes,
that's right.
But maybe he just had a soul swap.
Well, they're saying eye colour can change in soul swaps, but because it happens in babies, that's kind of a thing that happens naturally.
Hang on. So when did your eyes change colour?
When I gave birth to my first child.
From what to what?
From a grey blue to green.
Okay. So basically your soul went, I'm not dealing with this. I'm getting out. And you go
Parenthood sucks. I'm out of here.
I just want to party.
Maybe that's what happened. I have had a soul swap.
You had a party soul and then you had mummy soul. I don't know.
The thing is, I still feel very similar to the person that I was aged 18 and 19 before I had a baby for the first time.
Interesting. Okay. Because, I used to have very, very blue eyes, and now they
are still blue. They're really blue.
They're green sometimes. They're grey sometimes. They just change all over the shop anyway.
Okay, well, occasionally the person who had a walk-in can feel uncomfortable in their own skin, Michelle. So that's a way of telling. Do you feel uncomfortable in your skin?
No, but I wonder if this is also something where, people who are transgender.
Yes, well, I'm coming on to that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, jump the gun.
Jumping that gun. Sometimes the soul is needed elsewhere and will need a replacement for a short period, while the original soul is taking care of business elsewhere.
Having a nervous breakdown.
Or something. Or drunk. The person may experience a personality change and find it hard to feel at ease with previous relationships. And there are many types of walk-ins, but you can also have a malicious one where your soul gets locked away. This could be because you've sold your soul for fame and fortune, Michelle. So do be careful what you wish for.
What is it? What is that one not Devil's Cafe, the
Devil's... Right?
No, where you...
The picture of Dorian Gray? No?
No, it's like that, the cafe where you basically sell, the devil comes and you sell your soul to the devil. Okay. You don't know what I'm
the one where
about.
you've got the picture of them all at the diner with Marilyn Monroe and James Dean and Elvis Presley. Right. Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of talk of this soul swapping, and it's way too confusing. So I moved on to past lives because... I found a quiz in a Soul and Spirit magazine. So I wanted to find out how you might know that you've been here before. And according to it's not really a quiz, it's 10 signs that you've been here before. Do you want to see if you pass, Michelle? Let's see.
I want to answer.
All right, here we go. Number 1, questioning your gender, as you started to say earlier before I shut you down. Yes, you may be used to being the opposite gender from a previous life. Same with a soul swap as well.
Yeah, okay. Look, I'm very happy being a girl. I've never felt uncomfortable. So I think that's a cross for me. How about you?
So maybe next time when you're a bloke, you'll be, oh, I'm not happy with this. I want to change.
Yeah.
I like being a girl. I love being a girl.
Yeah. Okay. I just thought that's what you were saying because I said, how about you? And you just said, I want to change. I'm like, what?
I know.
What?
I don't.
No. Sorry, I just got confused for a moment.
Well, no, because it's a rhetorical question. Deja vu is the second point. Do you feel like you've been somewhere before or know it like the back of your hand, Michelle?
Yes.
Deja vu? Yes.
All the
You
time.
probably have been there before in your previous life.
Okay. Tick.
Number 3, tick. Number 3, you've been described as being an old soul. So are you drawn to a particular era, for example? You know, you've got all those guys who grow their handlebar waxed moustaches.
They're just hipsters, whatever.
Or there's me with my 70s flicks and flares. I do love the 70s. Or do you feel out of place in the modern world? Or do you act as though you're much older than you are? Or do you behave in a way that you're older than your years? You're an old soul. And you've been here before.
I would say no to all of that, actually.
Okay. Vivid dreams, especially of another era or country or time.
I would say
where you feel like
yes
you've been there.
To vivid dreams, because my dreams are crazy vivid. But are they of another era? No, not particularly. They're all...
Or country or something that's you feel comfortable in, but it's not recognizable.
Yeah, I guess that is
Could
true.
be memories.
That's a half tick.
Half a tick. Number 5, strange coincidences. If you continually bump into the same person or feel as though you know the outcome of something before it's happened, these are signs that you've lived them that time before or similar.
I would say tick.
It's a very dodgy, bloody article, I have to say, this Spirit and Soul magazine.
It is, but I'm kind of enjoying it, so I'd give that a
Okay.
tick. I'd give that a tick.
Number 6, hidden talents such as musical instruments or foreign language knowledge without ever having taken a lesson. So if you just pick up a violin and like I'm having to experience right now because my youngest is learning violin.
I wish he did have this syndrome because then he'd be like a virtuoso, but sadly no. I would have to say no on that.
Going back to the Irish, I've just had a memory of my eldest son when he was little walking into the neighbours, his grandparents' neighbour's house when we were in Ireland. And this woman, later on I met her, she was a psychic. And she said, your son's been here before. He's an old soul. He's been here before. Felt like I was knocked over. She was quite psychic. She would tell me all sorts of things. She was quite fascinating, this woman.
Wow. I can kind of see that actually with your eldest. Bit of an old soul.
Old soul. So hidden talents without having taken a lesson. If you suddenly know how to do something, really good at something, and you haven't had much training on it, it's probably because you used to do it in your previous life.
Or you're just really quick to pick things
Or
up and you're super talented and smart.
Exactly. Number 7, unexplained phobias. So anything that hasn't been learned by your parents, etc., like a fear of spiders because your mum screams, or mice because she jumps on a chair when a mouse comes in. Anything like a fear of loud noises. Now you'll love this explanation that they've put in this magazine article, Michelle. If you have a fear of loud noises, it's probably because you've been shot in your past life. Or not liking things around your neck. It's probably been a factor in your death, is what they say. You were probably strangled by that scarf, and that's why you don't like to put it round your neck.
Gosh, I think that's quite a stretch. Although,
It is.
do you know what? I went on this Hindu once, and they had a psychic there, and I literally just moved to the UK, and it was with a whole bunch of women I'd never met before. I only knew the bride and only barely at that, and I remember she did this kind of psychic reading, and I started getting this really weird feeling around my neck.
Ooh.
And she said, "Are you okay?" And I went to say yes, and I could hardly speak. I went, "Eh." Like it just this weird little squeak came out. And she said, "Are you experiencing some like feeling around your neck?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, like nodding. And she said, "What that is generally you feel like you haven't got a voice in your life right now. Whatever, in this psychic reading, that's what's happening to you." And she was spot on. So I don't know, because at that point I really did feel like not listened to, not heard.
Yeah.
And my voice was, not being valued. So maybe there is something in this. I mean, I'm not saying that you because you don't like scarves, you've been noosed. But I don't know. I'll give that some thought.
Okay. Well, there's also number 8, a powerful psychic intuition. Reincarnated people have hidden knowledge and often know things before the rest of us. They say in Soul and Destiny magazine, Spirit and Soul.
Do you think that applies to you?
Why do you think I'm psychic?
I don't know. I don't think you're psychic, but I think probably like me, you have moments where you have really strong intuition about something, or you know something without knowing why you know it. But I wouldn't necessarily say that we are psychic. I mean, I would love it. I would love to be psychic, but
I don't know where I stand on reincarnation. Let's just talk about this once I get through, because I've got number 9 and number 10 to get through, Michelle.
Oh, sorry.
Number 9. Highly sensitive, usually empaths. Usually you're an empath if you've been here before, and you want to bring peace and love to the world. And finally, number 10, you long for deep conversation. You're bored by the superficial chat and need to deeply discuss things like philosophy, science, art, etc. So you're not an eavesdropper.
Do you know what? It's funny because, as you know, I'm a Gemini, and I feel like I have this side of me, which is all like surface. I don't want anything too deep. And then there's this other side where that's all I want. I don't want any of that surface rubbish. It just depends on like where you're at and your mood and the day and whatever. So, I'm not sure about that last point. I think people are more than one thing,
Yes. I really don't think that that's a good list of things to prove that you have been reincarnated, if you can tick any of these boxes. I don't know where I stand on reincarnation. I don't know where I stand on spirituality. I don't know where I stand on the afterlife. I don't know where I stand on any of those things, to be honest with you. I like to explore it. That's why we talk about those things on this podcast. Because it's interesting. It took me down so many rabbit holes, Michelle. There's a lot. If you look into walk-ins, soul swapping, there's a lot out there.
Oh, wow.
There's the intergalactic walk-ins as well, the star seeds. There's these things called star seeds, which are people from another galaxy, and they're all on their way to come and take over our bodies and weird things. The stuff that people believe, it can be quite out there. And you can subscribe to a point of view if it makes you feel better about yourself. But honestly, I would tend to just try and be more in the here and now. Just not worry too much about the existential angst. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Right now in my life, and I think I've always felt like this, although I have researched and explored things, I think I'm just quite happy being here and now.
And knowing the earth is flat. I'm joking.
Knowing that earth is so flat that I could just walk straight off it.
Straight off the edge. No, but I think there is something really empowering and freeing once you realize that, all we have is the here and now. Yesterday, even like 5 minutes ago, it's gone. And we don't know what's next. Literally all we have is right this second, this moment. And to just, try and be the happiest you can be in this moment, because everything else is either gone or coming.
Exactly.
But for now, this moment, while you're eavesdropping, just have a smile on your face.
Yep. I know, you could get all caught up in all sorts of things. You can stand on a pedestal and shout things to people who aren't listening. But to be honest, look within, I think. Just look within and be happy in the moment.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because you know that I listen to Abraham, which is Esther Hicks, and ultimately that is her message, well, Abraham's message, which is the only way that you manifest things you want is to be happy right now in this moment with whatever it is that you have, and don't focus on what you don't have, because the more you focus on what you don't have, the more you'll get more of what you don't have. And if you focus on being happy, that is like the seed that brings everything to you. So always, even if it's really hard, even if you only find a shred of joy in the moment, that is like the little, match to the flame that will get you moving in the right direction. Oh, well, wow. That is really interesting. I wonder if we need to do like an episode on walk-ins, because it sounds like there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, and I'd love to explore it. Maybe we can put a pin in that for a future episode. But thank you so much. I loved hearing all about that.
That's great. And thank you for telling me all about the Swindler, Tindler, Windler, Bimbler, which I will watch on Netflix ASAP.
Shimone, motherfucker. That's the dude. Watch out, people. If you see, look him up, because, without saying too much, I would not be surprised if he was back on Tinder.
Oh.
Doing this whole scam again. And the thing is, in the documentary, he went to a plastic surgeon to try and change his looks. So that's even scarier. He could be out there with a new face.
Days of Our Lives or something, an American daytime soap.
It's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Oh, well, thank you, Geordie. Thank you so much. I loved it.
Thanks, Michelle. Loved your accent.
Lift your accents. Lift your accents.
Oh,
it's so terrible. I can't do them. Oh, but anyway. All right. Well, look.
But don't bother with that. All right, darling. Well, listen, you know what we need to do. All of you out there and all of us here in our studios, what we need to do now is just, what? I can't remember the catchphrase.
Wherever you are.
Whatever you bloody do. Just keep eavesdropping. 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 Dropping. Eavesdropping. Dropping. Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping. Dropping. Dropping. Eavesdropping.